One thing about this time is that because my days are even less structured than they were before, which was minimally. Now, everything I do has expanded to fill time allotted. And time allotted is infinite. So my morning toilet is extensive.
All right.
You look nice today.
California King.
So many powders and vitamins and...
Oh, you're talking about your larger set of morning ablutions.
My ablutions. When I say
You're
toilet,
going to go into the
in
bathroom and you're going to
yeah.
get right with God.
In the continental sense of toilet, my preparations for the day, my prayers, I'll drip a number of things into and around my eyes. I have 4 different toothpastes that are used in various combinations. I'll rinse. I'll take, I'd say 3 or 4 powders, powders that do various things. I think also that I have a little bit of Robert Downey Jr. syndrome. Does that register with you guys at all? Robert Downey Jr. syndrome?
There's probably been many over the years, but I'm curious.
Yeah, that's true.
Robert Downey syndrome in our house is every couple months my daughter realizes that he's older than I, and then she points that out and says how much better he looks. So I should be doing a lot more dripping around my eyes.
You should be doing a lot of ocular moisture.
He looks good. He's aging well.
I had somebody ask me one time when I was 30 and had no concerns. As I walked past him at his kiosk at the mall, he's like, "What's your eye regimen?" I was like, "Fuck you. I'm never going to have it cut forward to 15 years later."
You just stare at him real.
Yeah. That's my eye regimen. Evil.
Can you explain the toothpaste situation again? You mentioned a number of toothpaste. Is that like a shampoo and conditioner situation? Does one activate the other? How does it work? I've never heard of it.
I think in bodybuilding they call it stacking.
That's right. I have a leave-on toothpaste that just goes with me throughout the day. It doesn't look great, but it protects my teeth. It might just be glue. No,
it's a kind of prescription oral shellac. It gets rid of waxy buildup.
My daughter has Invisalign because it's basically become a 1-to-1 substitution for braces now. And honestly, I hate her because she didn't have to go through the braces that I had to go through.
I had it twice. I had braces twice. You're supposed to look awful.
Did you? Wait, hold on. Of course, you had braces twice. Merlin didn't even have access to braces.
I don't. I'm from Ohio. We have fluoride in the water, but no medical care, and I think that's a mitzvah. But Adam, am I remembering correctly that your father's a tooth man? I mean, is it something where, did the first set of braces not take?
One moment, I'm going to do some parenting. You guys
like
going to watch
a
me parent
liver?
for a second.
Okay. Oh, he's going to.
What's he doing?
There's a.
Oh no.
I don't know if it's a bug, an insect, or a child. Oh, it's a child.
Oh, it's a child. Is that his? Can you tell?
I hope so.
Oh man.
Oh.
This is not that funny.
Oh.
Scott, I can't remember if we've talked about this before, but we're somewhat roughly the same age, and I always feel like there are these fads that come around. Not fad, it's such an ugly word. Gimmicks. Where you remember when everybody had to get their tonsils out? It was suddenly very important.
Oh yeah.
And then certainly, braces and retainers. There's a lot of stuff like that. What we went through with my kid and retainers, it's such a goddamn racket. It's basically like an assembly line for children's mouths. But what are the current? Is Invisalign would that? Nothing against your daughter's mouth, but is Invisalign, would that be part of a new wave of medical care for children that's not really necessary?
Oh, absolutely. It's part of that family of products that suburban families are forced to pay for, or else they feel inadequate.
Oh yeah, the economist Veblen refers to them as Marin goods. It's the kind of thing that people don't really need, but out of owing to an abundance of anxiety and money, that's a thing that they bring in, and maybe that could even be a service, like like a Blue Apron, like we'll just or like one of those boxes where they give you a children's project in it, like a doodle box, but that could be a medical thing, and maybe Daddy could fix your teeth. I don't know. I don't live in Marin.
Well, I mean, we should continue speaking about our mouths, but I do want to put in the back of our minds the idea that we could be amazing producers and purveyors of unnecessary goods that would make a suburban family feel inadequate not to have, yet are completely unnecessary. Let's just keep that in the back of our minds, because I see a lot of potential there, purely from a business perspective. Now, Adam, back to you. Is everything okay?
Yeah, she's fine. She's 3, so things like that happen, and yeah, she just her Invisalign.
What are you doing?
Hurting.
I'm glad she's.
So you had braces twice.
I'm not sure why. I just remember always. I don't remember the details. I just remember the injustice while it was happening.
It's so important to teach the controversy.
Was it like smoking, where your dad caught you trying on a retainer and then he made you wear braces twice just to?
He made you just put on retainers until you threw up a little bit, and he said, "You like that now? You want another pack?"
I always had retainers and various metal junk in my mouth, and I think that it was maybe I was meant to understand it as this is a privilege because my dad is in the industry, and that I should be grateful for these things because it's basically, it's free. It's like getting free video games if your dad makes video games, but it wasn't like that.
Yeah, except it's a more of a paternal insurance scam, probably. Let's be honest. But if we weren't,
maybe it paid for my college education.
I mean, presumably, I don't know. Did you ever see a check? Now, here's the thing, Scott. When we talk about, so Adam, while you were helping your daughter, we were just talking about mouths and some opportunities. If we were to offer if we were to have a product offering that we would want to put in front of people to help their health, Scott, is that something where how much are we going to run into trouble with the FDA? Are there things where we could just put a very, very, very large disclaimer on everything? Well, it's mostly disclaimer, the whole thing, and then that the government can't touch us. Do you know anything about that?
Well, Merlin, I'm a man in his 40s, and one of the things we men in our 40s like to do is get angry about very specific laws and or industries that are in some way unjust. And sometimes that injustice is entirely true, but our anger is often disproportionate to that injustice. My particular area of expertise as a man in his mid-40s is the supplements industry, and how you can walk down an entire aisle of the drugstore and see to the left and to the right of you all kinds of things that promise all kinds of things and do none of those things.
And it says right on there, if you're a person who likes reading, like I know you can see all your books here. If you enjoy reading, you could see on that label that they're very clearly saying and not saying a lot of things. But if I'm hearing you correctly, and tell me if I'm not, what you're saying here is FDA, schmefda, whatever it is we put in your mailbox is now protected speech.
I think we've.
Under the First Amendment, Article 1. That kind of thing.
We've got one of those. We've probably got something in one of the amendments in the teens we can probably resort to if we need to.
Nobody uses those. We could probably slot one in there real nice.
That's from a constitutional law perspective, go for the lesser amendments. The judges don't have them memorized.
They're not. It's like 90s James Bond movies. Like nobody remembers those. Everybody knows Goldfinger and Casino Royale, and don't know fuck all about the rest of it. If you got a box full of stuff that's from James Bond, now here's the thing: you walk down the aisle. I'm going to say something that might be controversial, but it is protected speech. You go down the aisle and you see all these powders and poultices that aren't going to do anything for you. You might as well buy a bag of sugar that says health on it, or supplemental health restraint. Right. But like we wouldn't call it sugar. We call it health bag.
I have to be honest, and I don't know if you guys do. Here's my guess.
Yeah.
Definitely, both of you have some version of what I'm about to say. I know that the sublingual B12 tablet that I take as part of my morning toilet has little to no daily impact on my mental acuity. But I heard in a podcast once that somebody takes one before he goes on stage, and that helps him be funny on stage. And so ever since then, I've taken one just to be more alert.
Incredible. It's your limitless. It's your limitless, Phil.
It's my limitless, but it's extremely ceilinged.
Right. Limitless in the scope of what it can help you imagine that it's doing in some ways.
That's right.
I mean,
and
you know what I mean? It's like Lisa, I would like to buy your rock type situation, and we're scaring the alligators away. As long as Scott gets on stage, Showtime folks, and you get out there and you shine, it's kind of like a rally beard or like not changing your underpants in October because
That's right.
World Series. But if that helps you to get up there and do a good job, I mean, now that technically that's medicine now. That's comedy medicine.
Yeah, I mean, even if it's from a biochemical perspective, a placebo or garbage or poison.
It's not sawdust, but it's not sawdust. I mean, for example, when I sharpen my pencils, I keep the shavings, and given that it is in a flask, I think this might be medicine now.
Is that a B? What is that is that an Erlenmeyer flask?
It's a little Erlenmeyer.
Hey, Scott, name a second type of flask.
Yeah, come on, go.
Okay, hold on.
Moby Dick, that's the one with the whale. Yeah, I know that.
Yeah. It's the flask we all remember for a reason. Mm-hmm. It does good work.
But speaking of chemistry, you think take you back to high school and being in chemistry class. Do you remember how stinky the Bunsen burners were? And it's my understanding that what the propane, I don't know what it is, but like whatever, they add a stinky smell to the Bunsen burner admixture.
Oh,
so that we
right.
know
So you know it's coming.
when Bunsen leak. When Bunsen leak, you smell the garlic smell, and you know that's how you know the chemistry's working. You get so many so many moles of that and quadratic equation. So, in that similar kind of way, maybe if we made the B12 sawdust more unpleasant, it could have more performance characteristics for the, I guess, working comedian.
Okay.
Is that like military intelligence and jumbo shrimp?
Yeah,
people say that.
Yeah, the work is the work.
The work is
that's a
so
strong
important,
word.
Scott. It's what you do is so important.
Thank you. But
Yeah.
back to my wager. Wager.
All right.
I'm willing to wager that both of you have some sort of supplement that you take that you know that you in your heart it may or may not really do anything, but you enjoy ingesting it, putting on your skin, dreaming about it, whatever it is that you do. Is that am I right or am I wrong?
A while ago, I took fish oil pill, like omega something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Omega something.
Big.
Yeah.
I did. The doctor told me to take those, and then months later, the doctor told me don't take those.
What? Why?
See,
Same
that's
doctor?
how they get you. They get you coming and
science.
going.
That's the problem with having doctors who are identical twins when they disagree.
Yeah.
What do you wait? You're on fish
They
oil?
share
Who
one
told you?
license. One of them wears the fake mustache.
It's a loophole. It's a
They're
loophole.
always playing pranks on their dates. Dr. Johnson is my brother.
Merlin, do you have a version of?
I do. Boy, there's an idea I can't shake. To answer your question directly, yes. As you know, I'm a tremendous magical thinker. And there's a lot of things that I can do to imagine or not imagine the thing that I would prefer to imagine or not imagine. And, I figure, if it ain't broke, eat it. So there are a lot of things that I will put on or in my body. I don't know for toothpaste, but there's a lot of stuff where like I might use 2 kinds of salt on something, or I might take something that says it's a pro-cognitive supplement. Are you aware of this? These are things I think in the 90s when everybody was raving and sucking on pacifiers, we called them smart drugs. I mean, smart drugs, smart water. I don't know. But I do tons of that. I also know that the greatest affliction of the aging man is not feeling appreciated. So is there any kind of a delivery service that we could offer? We give you something that either helps you feel more appreciated or greatly exaggerates the lack of appreciation that you have. So maybe we could I don't know, have a woman call your wife and like just leave a kind of a weird message, something like that. But people are stuck at home and they don't have a lot of money. And if we bring things into you and we let you know what you need to be working on. But could I just get a thank you just once? I fixed the drawer like I said I would. Nobody said anything.
Where's my parade?
Where's my parade?
Ooh,
I don't know.
Wow, we have so many potential strands here that, I mean, I love the idea of just receiving that's a great, that in and of itself is a service.
I do too. Like I like the idea of the supplement that comes with the follow through, because the supplement typically leaves you hanging. You take the thing, they don't care whether it works or not.
Oh, you're saying you've already paid. You're already on your third pair of braces. This check cashes either way for Daddy. Is that kind of what you're saying here? You deliver.
Is there a
that
business model where you get the jar, you take the thing, you haven't paid for it yet, then?
No.
I'm not clear.
Keep going, please.
Okay, I'm just going to keep saying words. Okay, you guys correct me.
Okay.
So then you pay sort of like it's micropayments is what they used to call them.
Okay, it's like having a financial dominatrix. It's a woman who she stands on your stamp collection and you give her $20 and then she hacks your computer. That kind of thing, right? Is that
pretty much where I was going with it?
Well, there's a word I heard a long time ago. My friend who got me onto Korean ginseng, which will put some lead in your pencil, but it makes your heart go boom boom. And it's an adaptogen, is what he would say. I say, Dennis, what does that mean? An adaptogen? He says it's good for what ails you. Like it's like Ben Franklin says, if you medicate your children every day, like they'll know what it's for. And I think in that way, it's like a coffee, calms you down, brings you up. But the thing is, it's if we can get you into this notion of farm to table magical thinking, it's not going to matter what's in the bottle because you do finally feel appreciated. This is mine now.
I love the linguistics of supplemental bullshit. You take a well-known prefix and then attach it to a Latin or Greek-ish thing on the end. So adaptogen, antioxidant, probiotic.
Nootropics is
nootropic.
Yeah. So they're words,
protodiuresis.
they're words that start out sounding real because they all use well-known prefixes, and then they just kind of meander into a kind of trough of biological vagueness.
But you're already on the hook. You're all ready to get a fresh jar of, say, dyschlamydia. Because it's got some Greek, like most leading questions, it has a Y in the middle of it. You know that's Greek, and now that's the thing that you're taking. We just and also it's about building habits. They say it takes 3 weeks to build a habit, and usually an hour to fall out of it. But like if you can't find a way to stop the deliveries, you do have to keep paying. You can get 2 of them if you just agree to pay a separate fee.
So one of the notes that I'm getting, especially Adam, from what you were saying before, is the concept of a product-specific follow-through. So you buy a jar. We'll call it jar X. You buy jar X. The product is not contained within jar X. The product is contained within the mind of the person taking the product and the thoughts and feelings of the people around that person. So if you stop thinking of a product as a thing on a shelf and start thinking of a product as a feeling, then you say, well, you've purchased jar X. But then 6 weeks later, a mysterious woman calls your wife and says how wonderful your teeth look. She saw you in the market, and she saw, you took your mask down to do Face ID to pay for a coffee cake, and she saw your teeth, and she just had to call and say how wonderful they look. Something like that. Is that sort of what, Adam, you were alluding to before?
Yeah, pretty much that. She calls your wife to tell you that your teeth look good?
Well, I thought it would
Adam,
be nice
I think that your wife is going to appreciate you a lot more if she starts getting a lot of short voicemails from a woman unknown caller who merely identifies herself as S.
Okay, a competitive situation.
Let her wonder a little bit for a while.
Yeah, I like it. I don't hate it.
That's right. Well, the nice thing about it is
That's the beauty of JarX. There's nothing to hate about it because it's not a thing, but it is so a thing.
Oh, it's very much a thing, but it's not.
Well, yeah, I mean,
you
you
think
got
it is.
6 fucking voicemails while you were taking the kids to the pool. You know, that's gonna raise a lot of questions. I also noticed because I watch a lot of cable news because I'm broken inside. I noticed that at first you used to have boner pills, and then you'd have hair pills, and you have other pills, and now there's this one operation where there's a guy in a baseball cap, and you know that's Chekhov's baseball hat. You know, in a second he's gonna take it off.
Hymns or keeps.
Kim's keeps Roman his and hers, and so there's this one operation. I don't know if this is who you patronize, Scott, but there's this one operation that says, hey, do you have problems with not getting boners, having no hair and canker sores, or sorry, cold sores? And it's like, well, I don't know, but I'm sure open. I mean, what else? Who knows what's going to be added to that list in the future? That I think then retroactively, as they add new things that it claims to fix, we technically can charge you more for JarX because of the added value that's being derived, you know, from the
That's a great
poultice.
point. I think of it in terms of my personal sense of like the rule of expertise is 3s. So when somebody says, I love art, you know, I got, I love Picasso and, I can't even think of a second one because I was trying to think of a third one.
Beethoven, Bach, and Mozart. You read another book. Give me a fucking break. But you're absolutely right. Like if you like Picasso so much, like name his last 3 albums. Well, I'm just gonna randomly grab a supplement and see what kind of stuff.
My point that I illustrated so poorly just now is that the third example often given by a person is the real thing that they think.
100%. That's the 5th rule of email. And then the 6th rule is you don't talk about it, but absolutely, it's along the lines of the compliment sandwich. But the thing that you really want to say is you're just slipping in a little bit at the end, right?
Yeah,
that's the thing it's really about.
The third thing is the artist that you've got a book about, or the book that you think is the one that is good or whatever. So, in the context of this as a product, those online services will often do something where they'll take one very well-established medication like hair pills. Then they'll do hair creams, also established. But the third thing will be like virility enhancement pill pack, vitamin pack. And, you're off in the deep end.
This is going to help you with your lupus and your narrow blood.
Yeah,
the lupus and narrow blood are such a known issue for so many people today, but it's also going to help you with diarrhea.
Hey, it's time for the bodily humors to make a comeback.
Absolutely.
If tarot can last as long as it's lasted, and
tarot root or tarot cards?
Tarot cards,
okay,
can last. Can make the comeback that it's made. Why can't medieval concepts of befouling liquids in your body make a comeback?
You know, another thing about medieval folks, I know you know this, Adam, from your studies, but a lot of things about medieval folks, they would believe some pretty interesting and somewhat outlandish things. That, like, for example, that your sin would sort of be evident in your body. You know, it's along these ideas of like, oh yeah, I couldn't catch COVID from the Brazilian guy. I've never met him. Okay, so cool. But in that instance, I think what we're saying is that like there are going to be a lot of things about your conduct and your decision making in the past, and we relevel the humors. Also, I bet it's hard to get a service mark on a humor. I think that basically becomes like covering Mozart. It's not going to cost us anything to make you more phlegmatic. What are we looking for mostly, Scott? What are the bodily humors and what do they mean?
Oh, all I remember is it's like 2 biles and a phlegm.
Oh,
and a blood.
I love comedy groups. That's I think it's a Herald group at UCB. You got blood, you got phlegm.
I think you've got black bile, yellow bile.
Okay.
And
fat kids, skinny kids, kids who climb on rocks. But there are all these different ones, and I'm not sure what they mean. And I read a lot, used to read a lot. I have to imagine a lot of people don't know what they mean either. But if they see that JarX is going to help you with less yellow bile.
Okay. Here's I think, where we are now. Jar X, we've established, is a product that doesn't have to have anything in the jar to exist as a product, because the product is in the well-being of the person who purchases Jar X. So maybe you buy Jar X to put something into whatever humors you feel like are too well established in your body. You can express into the jar. Essentially drain fluids. I don't know, on
fluids or emotions. You're a grown-ass man. You're a man in your 40s. You got room in your house for a jar. What are you going to put in the jar? You know, it's like they say, nobody really wants a drill. They want a drill so they can put a hole in the wall to hang a painting. They get a painting because it makes them happy. We're saying, what's your painting, right? Like, what are you going to bring to the jar? And then we'll charge you based on that, because S will be following up with your wife. Just want to touch base. Did you get it? Did you get my email about this? S.
I like the idea that you, the product is a vial of some sort, and you just put something, express something into it, you send it somewhere. That's the important part. And then it will be diagnosed in whatever way feels right.
23andMe for whatever you milked.
Yeah, but like more of a mystery, mystery vial.
A mystery vial, our operators are standing by to talk to you about what went in the jar and what that means. How does this make you feel?
I don't even think the FDA can touch medical concepts.
There's nothing to regulate. There's nothing
in
to
the
regulate.
15th century.
Okay.
There we go.
Here.
This is something.
Hang on. So, helps promote a relaxed state without drowsiness. Asterisk. Helps ease stress and occasional nervous tension. Asterisk. Helps promote a healthy mood and alertness. Asterisk. Oh shit. Helps diminish normal symptoms of premenstrual syndrome. Asterisk. And then in much smaller letters down here it says, these statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. I think that little box is our license to print money.
And I think we've just landed on a name too.
Box and Asterisk LLC.
Asterisk.
Jar.
It's like Lady Antebellum, but for medieval pseudoscience.
So wait, here's the model. So it's an empty container, a vial, a jar, whatever.
Empty. Empty is such a normative word.
Into it. You send it away. They make a bespoke pill version of whatever it is you sent to them. It's sort of
homeopathy.
Called when you take a trace element of something, and like you're supposed to be exposed to a vaccine is a small trace amount of the disease that you're inoculating yourself to. So you poop just a little bit into the vial. Right. They send it back to you. You put it back in yourself.
Oh, I see. Hakuna Matata.
I'm no doctor.
It's like homeopathy, but has anybody ever explored heteroopathy? Like, what would that look like? Maybe we send you more. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's like cold fusion. We send you a lot more poop, a lot more
than you gave.
Oh wait, no, it's not a pyramid scheme. It's a medical triangle, and your downline is going to be improved by every person that you bring into Jar X, and then eventually you get a pink Buick.
I thought it was a Cadillac. No, it's a Buick. You know, this solves so many problems because one of the biggest issues that I have at my house is we have very little to do sometimes. And so this will have every member of the family expressing various fluids into their own jar.
Every day.
Every day for...
It's not one jar. It's every family member gets a separate jar.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. It's not like a swear jar that everybody contributes to. Okay.
No, I'd say it's the opposite of a swear jar.
It's a blessing jar.
And, you know... Everybody
take one from the blessing jar.
Maybe according to the principles of 15th century medicine, you have to bury it under a tree stump or whatever, but you're basically collecting over a period of time various fluids from your body that will then be sent off to a, well, let's make it vague, the location to which it's sent. Maybe, like a pyramid scheme version of the North Pole. We need a mailing address that's not
Do
exactly
we want to call it a
trackable.
lab? Because I worry. I like the thing is, if we have a spokesperson, probably Adam, who appears on TV in a white lab coat with a stethoscope around his neck, and he says, "Hi, I'm Adam from JARX Labs," or whatever, and I'm here in Antarctica to prove a point. I don't know. I'm not going to pay a lot for these tires, but something that would, because Adam's already, so many people have bought automobiles because of Adam. I can't even imagine how many people would be milking their parts into a jar if they knew that he was going to be there opening it for them.
Okay, well,
Merry Christmas.
I think one of the things that we should consider is that perhaps the old mode of the lab coat and science are pretty played out. Let's keep going with bringing back older traditions. Let's call it like a leather duster and a plague mask.
Oh, you mean like where you look like a seabird, but maybe instead of so Scott, you've been to church. Have you ever noticed how many people in a church like to be called doctor? It's Dr. Cottrell speaking tonight. Well, whatever. You went to Milligan, whatever.
Divinity
but,
doctor.
Well, yeah, but who has more credibility in medieval medicinals,
Right.
than a cleric? And I don't mean the kind with a mace. I mean the kind who can come in and have healing powers, but maybe you are actually dressed as a D&D character.
Our clerics are standing by. They're standing by your grave, not like hotlines.
I'm in receipt of your jar.
So we're sending. You're not sending it to a clinic. We're sending it to a chapel full of clerics.
It's a medical super church. Yeah. But you're saying you have the vestments. You got the pointy hat. Certainly either a mace or a scepter. But I mean, would they be wearing gloves for opening your jar? Maybe they don't even. The thing is, they don't need to open your jar. What matters is what you put into the jar. When you go out and listen to music, is it just because you like having MP3s on your computer? No, it's because this little tune makes you happy. You're really buying happiness, and I feel like that's what JARX is not selling, but prescribing.
Right. You're really productizing your own waste in the form of human filth, and it's good for nobody.
Well, it's good for us because we're gonna make some money.
Did we finally hit it? I mean, last week it was T-shirts, but this feels like a big one.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not now. Yeah. What about so here's the thing though, I don't want to say, but there's a certain well-known church based in Clearwater that will not be named, and they've made some pretty good bang for themselves having people hold soup cans. Now today, amidst these troubling times, what is the kind of thing you can't just go into a confessional booth? I mean, personally, I wouldn't want to go in there, without a security guard and a restraining order. But if you were, what is the modern experience of that going to be? If we want to provide the follow-up emotional component, could you have a one-on-one with S, or would cleric Adam be there waiting stand by your grave to accept your call? But something where it's got the personal touch to it, where just circling back, make sure everything's good with JARX, because now you feel loved,
Yeah, well,
by
could it
the
be?
Lord.
Trying to think if there's kind of like an automated version of this where you check in. Maybe it's remotely through video conference, and you check in. There's a prompt, like a Voight Comp type of a prompt, or if you saw what was the one? I feel like it's a movie I forget, but you have to say as, it's the new Blade Runner. There's a certain expression that you have to say to the robot, and the robot decides whether you're insane or not.
Oh, right. My voice is my password. Yes. I totally know what you mean. You come in, you say a tortoise, same thing as a turtle, single words about your mother, but that could be done through a medical phone tree. just clerically speaking, and we could weed out a lot of people who actually have problems. Okay, here we go. You ever do the thing where you call some anywhere, and what's the first thing they say? Well, they say prima dos for español, but then they'll say something like, if this is an emergency, call 911.
Right.
Right. So first of all, that gets us off the hook. But second, what if we said
Yeah.
So on the one hand, that is our asterisk and box for JARX. But another one could be at that point you're so desperate, and I don't know, maybe you're choking because you've been shitting so egregiously into a jar in a way that started to feel unwholesome and maybe a little bit sinful because you kind of like it. So maybe 911 gets you to a 911 operator, but we give you one. Hit 1435 if you really want to get helped. And that's going to be like a 900 number where you go through another tree and then eventually you speak to S.
Oh, so it's like 911, but neither helpful nor free.
Yeah, like for black people.
This has been You Look Nice Today.
Telephone King.
Thank you.